Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we're making this a drinking game. That's right. So anytime we say anything negative at all, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means that we are going to take a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass, and holy crap, we're going back to the 40s.
Back to the 40s.
Oh,
Cheers.
The 40s, gentlemen.
Not back to 40, because these fuckers haven't got there yet. Back to the 40s.
Yep, just you. All right, let's see what we're talking about, people. We are talking about The Third Man, which was our chosen film when the random year generator spun 1949.
Yeah.
That killer year in film. World War II's over. Let's make some movies. Come on.
Yeah.
Cold War's about to start. We're right in that sweet spot. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we're talking about The Third Man.
We've got a whole heap of dystopian sets just laying all over Europe. Let's go for it.
Anybody just popped this just started playing in their feed. Maybe it's like me on my Apple Podcast. It just tells me things that I'm subscribed to, even though I'm definitely not. If that's us, welcome. This movie, as of now, is considered by the British Film Institute to be the #1 greatest British film of all time. That's right.
Wow.
It was also one of the first British films to shoot on locations.
How about that? And you can definitely tell watching this. And that includes a sewer twice.
Well, some of it was a sewer. Some of it was a set at Pinewood because, you know, a certain actor wouldn't go in the sewer.
Yeah, we'll talk about that motherfucker. Oh, that authentic sewer look of Pinehurst Studios. All right, so we're going to be talking about that, 1949 in film. I can't wait for you all to guess what the highest grossing film of 1949 was. I'll give you some context of what was going on in the world, which is very relevant to our movie.
I couldn't guess what any film in 1949 was.
I know, except we read the list last week, and I still couldn't guess it. I still kind of forgot. So yeah, 1949, we're going to talk about The Third Man, which is directed by Carole Reed, who would go on to win an Oscar for Oliver, which somehow won Best Picture in a time when, well, I guess times were simpler, or maybe not. But it kind of seems. Anyway, Carole Reed, people.
I'm not sure if that was a dig or not, but I'm just buzzing it anyway.
Orson Welles in this movie. At the end of the episode, we're going to tell you what we've been watching, which is going to include me talking about The Killers of Flower Moon. So go ahead and stick around till the end, or check the timestamps at the bottom if you want to know. 2 out of the 3 of us have now seen Killers of the Flower Moon. These knuckleheads tell you what they've been watching. We got some gripes, and then we're going to head into the segment. Dave, John, you want to shout some sponsors out? You want to let them know who supports us?
Yeah, sure. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can find him on the Instagram at cbarroso.beer. Like his stuff. Love the man. Follow. He's great. We also have a music artist in residence that goes by the name Dasein, Dasein. You can find all their music available for, streaming, liking, loving, sharing on all the usual music platforms. Go there, enjoy yourself. Dasein. What do you guys think?
Fuck yeah.
I'm ready to guess.
We ready to get what? Guess our movies? Or what?
I'm ready to guess the highest grossing movie.
I know, but you got to wait. I got to gripe. Dave, anything you want to gripe about? Anything you want to talk about? Any news that's going on in the world?
I guess it's a little bit of a mini gripe.
Okay, yeah. We got a mini gripe. Set that 1 minute gripe timer.
Who's going first?
You are.
Okay. So, has everybody heard about this Wile E. Coyote movie? The one that was finished and then cancelled. And then they called the studio and went, no, it's not cancelled. We're going to shop it around. And now they can't get the money they want for it, so the fucking thing is cancelled again.
What?
You mean cancelled as in, like, money cancelled?
No,
I haven't heard anyone use that word.
They finished the film and it's being written off as a tax deduction because they can't get any bid. So the same as what they did to Batgirl. They're doing it to Wile E. Coyote. And this is like on the back of them now signing this massive deal with Tom Cruise to come into Warner Brothers. And it's like, what? Why the fuck would anybody dare work with Warner Brothers now?
Especially after that strike. They didn't do any favors.
Who did you say just signed with them or just signed a deal?
Tom Cruise.
And they got Christopher Nolan back. Universal made Oppenheimer, and I heard that like pretty soon after that
I'm pretty sure they're not writing a Nolan off as a tax deduction. Like Nolan's not getting tax deducted.
Dave, when you said canceled, my mind started racing for the ways that the younger generation would think of how offensive Wile E. Coyote was, and how and it was reasonable. I was like, I guess there is some version of that.
Well, that time he dressed up as Girl Roadrunner.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's offensive to mutes.
Yeah.
It's offensive to people who maybe are abused. He's abused by the Roadrunner. What else would these little fucking bitches complain about? I mean, come on.
It's offensive to people who want to hurt other people.
Exactly. Yeah. What about those people? What about the abusers? You don't ever hear about them. Oh my God. Well, that's too bad. That's too bad for Wile E. Coyote.
That is.
By the way, I saw that they're releasing.
It's mixed animation. I could see that over Batgirl, but because I probably wasn't going to watch it. Although honestly, I am a huge Wile E. Coyote fan, but.
Me too, but that movie sounds fucking horrible. It's probably good we're never going to have to see it. Anybody who watched the Super Bowl, Jeff, we'll get to your gripe in a second. You guys, after the Sonic debacle, they're releasing a Knuckles movie?
Mm-hmm. What was the
debacle?
What
are they doing?
I can't. Yeah, there was no debacle. The
Sonic was great.
Did well, and Knuckles was
the second one did not do well.
That's it. It did fine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Knuckles was the after credit. You know that there were in the kids in the theater that I watched. You know this in like a normal single adult at the time. You know, just by myself watching Sonic, of course. But these kids went. I was gonna be on Matt and Mark. What the fuck? Get out of here, you bastards. Anyway, these kids went nuts. They were like Knuckles. They were so excited for the Knuckles. Wait, Knuckles is already in the movie. Who is it? What the fuck? I don't give a shit, guys. Knuckles is going to be in this one. It's going to be great. Knuckles is in the last one.
Yeah.
Let's say Knuckles one more time. It's just for the
Super Bowl, the highest rating of all time, 123 million. I watched it. It was great. Took a while to be great.
Pretty good halftime show.
Pretty good. Everybody's talking about the halftime show, which is great. All right.
Did you see that meme? And it was of a side-by-side picture of Ludacris in that outfit and Ben Stiller in his finals dodgeball outfit.
No. It's like identical outfit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the fucking same outfit, dude. It's
I just want to say, one clip I did see was, of course, Taylor Swift, because they cut to her regularly, but they cut to her on the big screen, and she noticed, and her and her friend immediately picked up a beer and drank. I think they were playing a drinking game.
We're showing. Oh, good.
Why are you sharing content at me?
Yeah, John, why are you sharing?
Sorry, I'm trying to. I'm because I'm going to find that picture for you. Keep going. I'm listening to your story.
For everyone watching on YouTube, our screens just went nuts.
We have a YouTube channel. Everybody, go watch us on YouTube. Apparently, it's
good.
Watch. That just went to hell.
Chris Pauls and Reed.
Yeah, every time they basically, from what I can tell, every time they cut to her on the big screen, she drank a beer. I'm wondering, did she get that from our show?
I don't.
Is Tay-Tay listening to our show?
Sure. I don't think she drank that much. I could have used some more drinking. To me, it was like she was either celebrating because she knew she had to celebrate, or she had more people surrounding her and holding her hands than fucking Tom Hanks's mom in Apollo 13. I feel like everybody was pretending like it was the fucking moon landing. Everybody was trying to get in that frame, and it was like, all right, guys, they didn't play it too much.
I think the best acting she did yesterday was when Travis Kelce went fucking full redneck.
Which he did last year too.
Screaming, and she was like,
he's saying, you got to fight for your right to party, which he did last year. And then he also sang Viva
That
Las
one bothered
Vegas.
me. Yeah. The Vegas, that was the most awkward moment. She was like,
oh. She was like, please don't thank me. Please don't thank me after that.
No, this is the first song. She's like, please don't cut to me. Song. Please don't cut to me.
She tried.
I feel bad for I feel bad for non-celebrity actors, because now in every Super Bowl commercial, it's as many celebrities as you can jam into any fucking thing. Who gives a shit what the product is? Just throw a celebrity in there and you got a commercial. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I hear the boxes were $7 million this year for a box.
For the commercials? I
know it was $7 million for a 30-second commercial.
No, for a private box at the Super Bowl.
$7 million?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Per person.
Even the tickets were almost unaffordable. Per person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't afford. Almost. Who do you know that bought one? I don't fucking know anybody.
All right, let me get into my gripes. We can get into this shit. You ready? Set my gripe timer. Okay, can we get back to putting garbage cans in public places? Now, this is not meant to be a gag. This is real, and it fucking pisses me off. So I know in London, a friend of mine who studied abroad said there's no garbage cans on the metro because that's what like the number one bomb threats is like, oh, there's a bomb threat in the garbage can, and so then they have to like evacuate the place. And so if there's no garbage cans, then they can't say whatever. There's no hidden spaces, I guess. But then I was in the fucking Oculus, which is a weird like football shaped building near the World Trade Center that's just like so open. It's just dead space. It just looks like it's supposed to be the fucking Crystal from Glass Onion, but like with stores and shit, but it's just dead, open, stale space. And I have an apple that I ate on the way because I was in a rush, and I finished my apple and I'm holding an apple core and I can't find a fucking garbage can. So then all of a sudden I'm going in stores because I was there for a reason. And do you know what's even worse than not having a garbage can is what's more suspicious? Me like a bomb threat, I guess that's pretty suspicious. But me walking around with an apple core is really fucking suspicious. And I'm going in these stores and they keep talking to me. They're like, hey, do you want to sleep on this bed? Do you want this pillow? And I'm like, I'm literally holding a half a Macintosh. Like, get the fuck away from me. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me when I go in your store. If you talk to me, you lost the sale.
Little kids are like, Mommy, he's got an apple core. They're all like, yeah.
There's no garbage can. I couldn't fucking believe it. I couldn't find one.
Like, you're advocating for like the things they took out of the metro because they could possibly phone in a bomb threat to, and the first place you wanted to put it is right next to the World Trade Center. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a dead space.
Just put a camera on it. Put a camera on it.
There's already 6 cameras.
You know they have weird metallic censored shit and radiation shit. They have good technology now. I can have a place to put my Apple core, so I'm not holding it when I'm going in Casper.
How about, I'm surprised, so you're voting for more trash receptacles over public bathrooms in New York City?
Well, I ended up finding a bathroom which had a garbage, so that ended up being my solution. But it was very hard to find.
Has anyone found I think that they've come over to Threads, but I think they're also on X. It's got to go New York City, and they just regularly post what the current codes are for all the bathrooms in like the Chipotle's and all that sort of thing all over New York. It's almost like they're funded. They go in and buy a burrito so they can get the code and just give it to everyone.
That's pretty good. Hey,
God, that's pretty good. That's what social media can do,
right?
folks.
Not all heroes wear capes, right, Madam Web?
Yeah, little uprising. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Dave's saying it next week, folks. Get your mini review here.
Yeah.
Next week. He said, John, I'm going to watch it so you don't have to. That's what, that was literally
that's
the line pre-show.
That's sure. I'll go. That's how far I'll go for you guys.
Actually, that wasn't pre-show. That was between shows because John's internet sucks.
Jesus.
Actually, I think it was true pre-show.
Oh,
I
that's
literally
on me.
had to plug in.
Oh, well, that's on me then.
I'm gonna turn your panel off in a minute.
I'm just gonna keep.
John, is that
just kidding.
John, is that the Conformist behind you? The fantastic Italian film that we watched recently? Is that the Woods and I guess?
No.
No, did you watch the fucking movie this week?
Oh yeah.
Also, the Conformist is in color. You fucking idiot. Remember?
Can you just get off my back?
God, the Conformist. That was a good one, wasn't it?
All right.
That's fantastic. God,
All
there's
right,
so much more.
I'm gonna-
There's so much
let
more
me
Italian than
read-
Ferrari. All right, I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna get into this next segment. Also, I hear that the dog from Anatomy of a Fall stole the show at the Oscars luncheon. How fun is that? Something that nobody will ever watch, the Oscars luncheon, and something stole the show from it. That's pretty interesting. All right,
Good
people.
boy.
Or
girl.
named
I haven't seen it
Messi,
yet.
not to be confused with Lionel Messi, who didn't play in a game in Saudi Arabia that people spent a lot of money for, and they fucking rioted. And
He was in a
demanded-
Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, he was. He was playing his.
Shot from low angles to make him look much taller
Make him
than
look
he actually
taller.
is.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Wow, they're even trying to phase out Apple boxes now.
let's get into our.
He was running on a beach, Dave. He was dribbling a soccer ball on a beach.
He was drifting a soccer ball on a beach. He played more in that commercial than he did in Saudi Arabia when people paid full price for tickets and didn't see him and got pissed off and demanded a refund.
Saudi.
All right, people, are you ready to talk about the film year, the greatest film year all on record, 1949?
Shut the fuck up, Dave.
All right,
I
so
can't
it is
wait.
finally
Talk about this film.
it is finally time for you all to guess. What was the highest grossing movie? This is way according to Wikipedia, and we've already talked about this. Before 1976, 1977, these numbers are bullshit. But let's just assume they're right for the sake of this fun conversation. What was the number one highest grossing film from 1949? I'll give you a hint. It was a Columbia picture.
It was at Columbia. Wow.
Harlem Nights.
I always Harlem Nights. Shut the
In
fuck
1949, yeah.
up. I always guess musicals, so I'm going with On the Town.
Very good
pre-blockbusters.
guess for being a musical. No, On the Town is not on the list, unfortunately. Okay, how about this?
Wow.
You all guess a movie and see if it's in the top 10. Guess a movie from 1949.
Adam's Rib.
Adam's Rib is not in the top 10.
Wow, really?
Dave, guess a movie.
I got nothing.
19.
Little Women.
Little Women was number 9. John,
Are you
for
serious?
the win. Little Women with Katharine Hepburn, not as Jo, with baby Katharine Hepburn as like Meg or some shit, comes in at number
How
9,
about-
Shut up,
highest
Meg.
grossing movie of the year.
The Great Gatsby.
No. The number 1 highest grossing movie of 1949, according to Wikipedia, is Jolson Sings Again, coming in at $5
Fuck, I almost said that. I
$1
almost said that.
That's right.
Yeah, you
Al
almost said that,
Jolson.
right?
He broke the sound barrier while wearing blackface.
Yeah, he was
Al
definitely
Jolson.
not the first
How is-
person
how is
to
it
do
different?
blackface. If that's any comfort to you, Jeff, he was not the first in
sorry.
1949.
This is it's not funny, except fuck. So anyway, that's first talk, he was the jazz singer, and that's Al Jolson. And so apparently ever since then, people just wanted more of that.
I'm just going to point out we didn't even buzz you. We didn't even.
What the hell? We're just
didn't
staying away
even
from it.
buzz you,
So
dude.
stay away from it. Thank you. Number 2.
We don't buzz racism. You're just going to see
Yeah.
one of us run into his camera shop and slap him.
Total accent.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a joke about how ridiculous we were. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Battleground
I'm not
by
counting
MGM. MGM's fuck. We have Dave,
Yeah.
Guys, thank you, Dave, for producing all of these episodes, especially when it's late at night and you got work to do tomorrow because we fucked up. Battleground comes in at number 2 with $4.7 million. I Was a Male War Bride. John, you can't burp in the middle of my fucking. I was a male
war bride. Yeah.
I Was a Male War Bride, 20th Century Fox hit film, comes in at number 3. Sounds of Iwo Jima comes in at $4 million, which sounds like all of those like spoofs that come in where people just like watch war like footage in theaters. The Stratton Story.
Spoofs? Are you talking about newsreels?
No.
Yeah, I was
You know,
gonna
like,
say-
you know, in like movies, like in Inglourious Bastards, where they just go watch that one guy just like kill a bunch of people and they're all cheering. It's like I feel like it's like one of those where it's just like sad,
Yeah.
but it just
That was
sounds.
a propaganda film.
I don't know, maybe.
That's what
The
that
Stratton
was.
Story comes in at number 5. Pinky comes in at number 6. Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, number 7. Neptune's Daughter, number 8. Little Women, number 9, as we had mentioned. And Sorrowful Jones comes in at number 10 as a Paramount film. So movies that you may have heard of did find their way into the awards conversation. That's right. All the King's Men would go on to win Best Film, directed by Robert Rossen, who would go on to win Best Director. Although Joseph L. Mankiewicz, in A Letter to Three
Joey.
Wives, comes in there. Actually, he won the Oscar. Robert Rosen won the Golden Globe, as if that mattered. Broderick Crawford won Best Actor for All the King's Men. Olivia de Havilland wins for The Heiress. Now, this is an all-time Scorsese favorite. This is like the inspiration for The Age of Innocence. Olivia de Havilland in The Heiress. John played the Montgomery Clift role once in a play.
I love that all the 90-year-olds that are listening to our podcast are going, oh, yes, they were good.
Now, we are crushing with the 60-plus here.
Oh, blackface.
We are just...
Oh,
John, I thought we were cutting that bit from our fucking show. Do I have to keep that bit in just to justify this joke? Oh,
It's going to be 5 minutes of this episode goes to air.
Dave's gonna have to, we're gonna have to
God.
sweat listening back to this whether or not to
of
cut
course
this
it's
shit.
fucking awful. Of course it's fucking awful. Jesus Christ, people.
Mercedes McCambridge wins Best Supporting Actress for All the King's Men. James Whitmore wins Best Supporting Actor for Battleground, which is one of those movies that was on that list.
I keep hearing Battleship every time he says that.
You sunk my battleground. Yeah, that's literally what I keep hearing that too.
Man, fuck everybody, okay? Come on. Okay. By the way, it finally happened. I'm gonna just to say this here. I saw my dad's birthday's coming up. We saw Sweeney Todd yesterday on Broadway. We loved it. It was great. My mom said this is the first time she couldn't listen to one of our episodes because I cursed too much. That was the first time that I'd heard that from my family.
Jeffrey?
Actually,
Jeffrey?
no,
Twitter.
No, it's not the first time
but-
we've heard that from your family. They were like that when we first started too.
What the fuck do they think
everybody.
about me?
I'm just buzzing everybody. You've been on your best behavior recently. You took the Elon Musk sweatshirt off though, and now you're getting loose.
I've dropped the C-bomb on at least 2 episodes.
That is true.
You're in that accent.
You're Australian, though. You're Australian.
Yeah,
So
I
it sounds
expect
great.
no less.
Okay.
Words should just flow out of you like water.
Other movies, though. So here's the thing: there
Like
are
Al
movies
Jolson
that came. You don't even need the Al. It's just it's like Jolson, like sings again. Here it is.
Sings,
Jolson. Okay.
Sings the third time.
There were a couple fantastic movies here that we should mention too. Best foreign language film at the Oscars went to The Bicycle Thieves. Actually, there's no just Bicycle Thieves.
Just quick sidebar
Classic
though.
Italian
How many times did they remake The Jazz Singer before they took that bit out?
The bit that's
Did
actually
they
in sound.
remake it, or do you mean just like cut it out?
No, when they remade it, because it's been remade like 5 times.
I think they kept it in because it's in sound. That was the part that
didn't
right.
know
He was
that.
the performer.
Are you sure you're not thinking of A Star Is Born?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I think you're thinking it's basically the same fucking movie. No. I see how you got there.
Yeah.
I want to be a singer. All right, keep
A
going.
Star Is Born probably should have come out this year. The Heiress, by the way, which we mentioned before, it was directed by William Wyler, who'd go on to win a bunch of Oscars later. White Heat came out this year.
Bunch of fucking Oscars.
The Accused came out this year. It Happens Every Spring came out this year, but I think 2. So I guess the European or the foreign language films, so Bicycle Thieves, the non-English films. Stray Dog, Kurosawa's second film, comes out here in 1949, and perhaps Ozu Yasujiro's best film, perhaps the first of this specific trilogy he did of these films that I believe all took place in Osaka. Late Spring, which Don and I saw at the film forum once. Late Spring, which is fantastic. And you know what? Because there's nothing to talk about this film year on Wikipedia, which is obviously the source that I used for this. The top 10 money-making stars of 1949. Are you ready? Bob Hope, the number 1 money-making star. Bing Crosby, number 2 money-making star. There's a 3-way tie, or sorry, there's a tie for third, not a 3-way, a 2-way tie for third. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Of course they're tied. They're the same fucking act. That's a weird thing. Fuck Wikipedia. I'm buzzing myself for Wikipedia. John Wayne comes in at number 4, and this is well before.
At least they
Gary
had wage
Cooper.
parity.
Touche. Yeah, because they're men. Sorry. Okay.
You don't have to buzz that. That's true.
Cary Grant comes in at number 6. Betty Grable, hey, there you go. And Esther Williams come in at 7 and 8. Humphrey Bogart at number 9. And Clark Gable at number 10. So Legends, 1949. That's who made the money.
Wow.
And a couple things going on in the world. Just a couple, Dave. Just a couple. NATO was founded this year. Yep. And it lasted all the way until 2024 when Donald Trump convinced Russia to go ahead and bomb everybody.
Yeah, did you hear that today?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What a piece
dude.
of shit. Okay.
Oh my god almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
by the way,
that might have been a tactical error.
You gotta pay your bills.
Yeah.
You gotta.
by the way, Israel was admitted to the UN.
I mean, Con Ed sent me the same letter. It's like if I don't pay my bill, they're gonna get Russia to bomb me.
Yeah, they also said don't use energy tomorrow, which is a weird double standard for them. Communist forces gain power in China. So nationalist fleets at Taiwan, which is still in dispute. There you go. The North Atlantic. Oh, I already talked. Shut up. The Soviet Union lifts the Berlin blockade. Berlin airlifts end. Apartheid becomes official government policy in South Africa. Not great. West Germany and East Germany formally established as nations. That's going to come up relevant in Vienna when we talk about the 4 sections going on in our film. Vietnam, Indonesia gain sovereignty. 500,000 steelworkers go on strike. U.S. Air Force's Lucky Lady completes first nonstop around the world flight. Electron microscopy is developed. And then in world events, New York Yankees beat the Brooklyn Dodgers 4-1 in the fucking
Electron
World
colonoscopy.
Series. Yeah. The NBA was formed. The National Basketball Association was formed. And last but not least, people,
Do you think
silly-
the NBA was exciting when it was all white dudes?
No.
Do you think it was just
Jewish white dudes in those shorts? Nope.
5'8" to like 6'2" max?
And we
was
saw it
just-
in 1979. It wasn't great with all my guys. Okay. Silly Putty was introduced this year. And last but not least, Meryl Streep, Billy Joel, and Richard Gere were born.
Oh,
And of
wow.
course, this movie came out, which, as I said, is the number one British film
number
of
one.
all time, according to the British Film Institute, which beat out Brief Encounter, Lawrence Arabia, both David Lean films, The 39 Steps, Hitchcock, Great Expectations, David Lean, and then some other shit that whatever. And Trainspotting actually came in at number 10. But people, this movie is ranked number one British film of all time by the British Film Institute, and they know British films. So, are you all ready? Any other movies that I missed that you want to shout out?
No.
Okay. So, are you ready?
They know British films.
We're gonna set
Jolson.
We're gonna set this movie up. This is a Grahan Greene script. He was a novelist, so he wrote a novella.
He was a
of this movie.
novelist, I believe, former spy
No shit.
as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Or at
what
least he
was
had
his crazy
at least he had friends who were former. I think he was a former spy because he also wrote Quiet American, which was in Vietnam.
time? Oh,
I actually stayed in the hotel he stayed in when he
Cool.
wrote it when I was over there.
Jesus. Grahan Greene. How about that?
Damn.
It's pretty weird
Damn,
that
with the
Orson
inside
Welles.
info.
It's pretty weird that Orson Welles has an uncredited script editing role because it's almost like in order to cast him, you needed to pretend. You needed to like pretend to give him stuff to do. It's like Orson Welles, like just let him write his fucking movie. You have one scene in the movie. Just chill out.
And he wrote his own screenplay for that. The whole Cuckoo Clock speech was his screenplay, his contribution to the script.
Was it Orson?
Yeah.
It was. That was a good bit. That was a good bit. I did. Okay.
I
fine.
have something on that later.
Okay. And as we said
7
before,
lines.
Carole Reed directed the movie. And he also has an uncredited writing credit, but I feel like every director should just have an uncredited. Just leave, you know what I mean? Just chill the fuck out. All right. Robert Krasker put a bunch of Dutch tilts in this, you cinematographer bitches.
It
takes place in Vienna,
I just thought they
1949.
couldn't afford a tripod and they were using like a chair.
Between the World War.
Hold still.
This takes place in that brief period of time in Vienna between World War II and the Cold War. And apparently you can do whatever the fuck you want. And packs of stray dogs controlled most of the city. Are you ready? And apparently cats too. Are you ready for me to send this movie's conversation your way after I read a brief description? Jesus. Pulp novelist Holly Martins. That's a man, Holly, by the way. By the way, I believe Joseph Cotten. Holly
It's
Martin.
1949. They're not casting a woman in the lead.
They actually
They did Little
a lot.
Dave. They did Little
did
Women.
a
I
lot
can't even
back
find it.
then, actually.
Little Women and the Heiress
Age
came
of
out this year.
Women.
Dave. Little Women and the Heiress. Only one of which was in the top 10. Nowhere near Jolson Sings. Okay. Pulp novelist Holly Martins travels to shadowy post-war Vienna only to find out himself investigating the mysterious death of an old friend, Harry Lime, which sounds like a delicious flavor of Mountain Dew. Are you guys ready to discuss this film? What'd you think? What'd you feel? I'm assuming it was all our first time seeing it. Is that true?
Hold on, wait. The words Harry Lime sound delicious to you?
For Mountain Dew, like if I'm having Mountain Dew, you know, it's like, yeah.
Harry?
Mountain Dew is people.
You're putting so much emphasis on the Harry. All right, Harry
How do
is
you forget? How do you not hear the word
Harry
Harry?
is a qualifier for a lime. I mean, I don't know.
Harry.
Harriet, what did you guys think of The Third
Harry.
Man, which is available on the Criterion Network? Baby, get your Criterion channel subscription up. Let's go. What'd you think?
Let's do it.
It's available on Criterion. It was also because I ended up having to
Tubi.
rent it because it's also available on Crackle. And
is
I
on Crackle.
just out of curiosity, because Crackle puts ads in, I fired it up for a second on Crackle. Crackle has less ads than Netflix with ads.
Yeah.
After you told us last week 15 fucking ads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
believe it, dude.
Yeah, but they didn't dig a $100 million, $100 billion, whatever, hole in their fucking bottom line by giving Chris Rock all this goddamn money for shit he already had. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about with this movie?
Have you guys ever seen this before? This was a
not.
rewatch.
No, but I've heard the
Oh,
theme
John.
many times and never knew where it came from.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was like a Hawaiian theme, but it's actually the third.
Well, then
one.
let me go first since I'm the only one who rewatched it. This is such a good movie. I hope you guys liked it. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. But this was one that I watched kind of like early on when I was getting into classic film and was definitely living with you guys at the time. It was probably around 2015. And it was just, it's referenced so often. I had seen the ending before without knowing what I was watching. You know, that last
fucking
famous
awesome.
shot.
Yeah, The Fugitive stole it, I think.
I think a lot of people stole it.
We'll
talk about that in a little bit, but this it still lives up to it. I thought the rewatch was fantastic. It's hard to imagine a genre like noir when it had not been done in the same kind of caricatured way that we think of it now. This was still a genre that Warner Brothers and certain people were making. There were prestige versions of this that Carole Reed had already made, and people like Billy Wilder and Orson Welles had made in the 40s that led up to this movie. But I think they really exploded as cheaper kind of B productions in the 40s and then well into the 50s as well. Britain had not made as many of these. So there's an argument that this was kind of one of those happy accident legendary masterpieces. This was not auteured by Carole Reed. This was, another production that was being made in London. He had a great cast around him. He had a great cinematographer. Grahan Greene wrote an awesome script. It was set at one of those magical apex moments in time where you had a backdrop that was just incredibly interesting, that was, transitional. It was a transitory time. We're never going to really have that moment back. Thank God we have moments in books to talk about transitions out of wartime into a new civilian way of living, because that's not something that's normal. Every time that has ever happened in history, it's always been a little bit different depending on where they came from and what regimes they're moving into. This movie just happens to be set at that time period using the film tools of noir, and it's inherently British, which I think has a really interesting perspective on what had been and what would become like Western culture. So if you try, I always say this all the time on this show, I know that, but if you really try to put that time capsule hat on and just imagine what it was like to see a movie like this then, I don't think anybody was expecting it to be this good. And I think that's what's so cool about it. It ended up just kind of like Casablanca, kind of like a few other movies. It just happened to be a really great combination of people at a really good time with a really interesting backdrop and, context, and ended up transcending itself. And throughout the years, I will give a shout out to Carole Reed, just because I think people were kind of unimpressed with the latter parts of his career when he eventually won Best Picture with Oliver. I think that bothered some people. I think a lot of people wanted Funny Girl to win, or maybe The Lion in Winter, or Romeo and Juliet in 1969 for the 1968 year. He also did, some before this, he was like really well known for,
The Fallen Idol and
Odd Man Out, The Fallen Idol. Yeah. I mean, so it's just kind of interesting to think about a film that is this popular with film buffs, and they don't necessarily raise up the director the way they tend to do in their pretentious ways with a lot of other movies that came out in classic Hollywood or around the world or classic British film
instead they raise up
periods.
someone who's in it for like 25 minutes.
Honestly. And he is Orson Welles. Orson Welles is told Peter Bogdanovich that he said it was it's one of those parts. He said it's the best written star part I've ever played, because just like Apocalypse Now, it's one of those roles where for the first hour of the fucking movie they're talking about
You
it,
just hear about him.
and then which is beautiful. And then to Carole Reed's, the reveal of this man, that sequence is one of the best fucking film sequences of all time. It's incredible. It's wonderful.
Yep,
So I really had a great rewatch.
You can
What'd you
see
guys
from the
think?
look on his face, he's like, people are going to eat this up.
They're like, this is good. He's going to love this. So that was my rewatch. I loved it. I had such a good time. What a beautiful 4K restoration. Shout out to Studio Canal for bringing that motherfucker back. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
Totally. Dave?
This was a first watch for me, and I'm a pop culture film buff, so I lose interest in a lot of things that happened before the 70s. And so sometimes going back and watching this is a hard watch. I can see how some people wouldn't want to watch this because it's old, and sure, it was great at the time, but is it great now? Because so many other things, like we've seen this all before. We've seen this done and done and done. But this is the film that did it first. So there's definitely merit in watching it, because they weren't like homaging or duplicating something. They fucking made this. They thought this up first. Like they shot this in a particular way. They styled it in a particular way. The fucking architecture just led itself to wire lighting. It's like, let's just spray a single source light and the fucking architecture lights itself. Like there was a lot of thought in like locations, all that sort of stuff. The first half of the movie had a lot of, I want to say, character dialogue that I didn't feel was really necessary, but it's not until later you realize that is. So weather through it. It's worth it. It's kind of worth it for the payoff. This is a good film. It's a good film.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought about it for a while where I was like, is this a noir? I feel like noir is so like an overused term nowadays, but it's like, it is, and I'm sure that's what it's billed as, but it doesn't feel it. And I actually think the score, Dave, you mentioned the score, you had heard the theme before. The score's like funny and like upbeat and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't
the location is so bleak. Also, I also wondered, and I wasn't there at the time, but because Vienna is in 4 sections. There's there's a UK, an American, a French, and a Russian. Sounds a little bit like Berlin, right? Just a little different, but you hear a lot of German and Russian. And this movie came out in 1949 in England, so in the UK. So I kind of was wondering about what was it like for that bold choice, because none of these characters were looked down upon for their nationality. That wasn't, it's not like we equated them with war like in our country. It's like every people are still mad at the Japs, right? Like some grandpas and stuff, but like it was just everybody was human and funny, and it was well done. And this lead, there's something cool about him not being an expert at anything, and definitely not writing. Apparently, that fucking he's an author that is part of a panel. That's like basically why he gets paid, and his panel sucks. So it was just really fucking weird and interesting. But just the way it starts, and I don't want to say humor as in it's like ha 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 Caddyshack humor, but he shows up. We don't know anything about him. He shows up and he's trying to look for his friend, and they basically say he's dead. And he's like, what? I was going to stay with him. And somebody else later, like at the funeral, I guess, for him, he goes to the funeral and sees it. And they're like, hey, do you know Harry Lime? He goes, yeah, I'm his friend. I was going to stay with him. And the guy goes, well, that's awkward. like it's fucking weird.
No,
and funny.
I know why he didn't pick me up at the fucking airport.
I know, it's so great when they find that secret underground thing, and they're just like, well, I don't think it's just the rum or whatever they're sneaking down there. I don't know, there's something about it that's so light, even though the subject matter is so dark. And then when you find out about the third man, it's like, that is so enticing, but I don't need them to layer on the genre, what we would now, I don't even know if they thought about it like that, but it was just so easy to watch. Not saying it was simple, but like easy to watch in the sense that like, how do you not just get roped into this and just follow along these very human, simple characters that are incredibly relatable on this very specific and very, very well done movie? It was fucking great. This movie's great.
So I have to ask, because you guys watched the restoration on Criterion, I'm guessing. Does that have the American or the original ending? Because
should we spoil? Because I didn't know there was a different ending.
No,
I've only seen it on Criterion.
It's basically the final scene, which is actually sitting behind you on your screen right now.
Yeah, it has that one. That's the one.
but there's one where like a reconciliation happens, and there's one where it doesn't.
Definitely not.
Okay, cool.
It was awesome. It was
because for American
awesome.
For American audiences, they changed it to they took out all of the alcoholism and made him more of a hero, and then also it gave it a slightly happier ending.
Yeah. Hey, one of my students was on one of my voice students was on penicillin today. Speaking of this movie, they had an ear infection.
Oh, no.
They took amoxicillin.
I hope he wasn't on delicious Mountain Dew's penicillin.
Right. Good joke, John. Good joke. Hey, they went to the Mozart Cafe in Vienna. That's a little on the nose, huh? Also, come on, we gotta give a shout out to that cat. What else is? Wait, what else is funny? Oh, guys, how about little fucking Gavroche over there just trying to screw shit up? Like all of a sudden, the kid with the ball just being like, "Hey, daddy, that motherfucker right there, he knows that guy. He killed him. This little fucking Gavroche.
Yeah,
leave us alone, bro." That kid. Yeah,
the cat and the Gavroche.
And the little bastard wouldn't let it go either. He's following him for blocks.
I love that the cat and Gavroche had similar things where we saw them first. We saw the cat, we saw Gavroche, and then like it would soon reveal their importance. You know what I mean? We saw like these two little innocent cutaways, one to a cat and then one to a boy at different times, obviously, with, you know, and then later the boy with the ball was at there where the porter was dead and they're like, hey, Dad, Papa, Papa. And he runs after him, little fucking brat. And then the cat, it's like, oh, there's a cat. And then it starts licking a shoe. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you realize, of course, that big reveal. I mean, it's just like, again, simple. It's not genius. It's not too clever. It's so fucking simple. And it's so great. Guys, it's great.
Did you hear about the thing with the director Reed? His friend sent him a note after seeing the film, because the first thing my wife said when she sat down next to me watching it, she's like, the camera's all wonky. Because one thing particular you taught in cinematography is that the human eye can perceive verticals off. It'll tolerate horizontals, but verticals really fuck with your mind. And she's like, yeah, the camera's all wonky. And apparently his friend, who was another director, sent him a spirit level with a note attached. Next time you make a picture, put this on top of the camera, will you?
Oh my goodness.
That's really good.
These canted angles, folks. We're talking about these like Dutch angles. Oh man, I just thought they were so effective. And they were used so much.
Yeah.
But
there was no logic. There was no logic to it either.
Like,
you didn't know which way your neck was going to go in any particular scene, because it could the establishing shot could be wonky, and then the next cut was straight.
Which honestly made me wonder if that was like, when did they? I would love to know when they arrived at that form. There was a real part of me that was curious if walking around a city with that many ruins of bombed buildings, if it kind of felt that way. Like, I wonder if they took that from the nature of their location.
I mean, it could just be that he wanted to feel unstable the whole time, or they were filming on cobblestones.
That's why we normally use it. Yeah, that's why we usually use it, for sure. We want you to feel that way. But I wonder if he was also trying to say Vienna feels like this now, partially because of the government and the politics, the lack thereof, and this transitional thing, and also because levels are not really, there's nothing that, there are so many broken down. Anyway, Dave, what did you think about?
Well, the tripod was just in a bomb crater every time.
Sure. Honestly, very, very well could be. This movie made me think so much about, it was wonderful use as well of canted angles, of vanishing points with perspectives. And one of them, like this is a real classic one, but they used them quite a bit with shadows, which I thought were really beautiful. And the way that they, I thought, found multiple, alleyways for that in each shot, was spraying down the stones so that they always had reflection on the ground, which I thought was so brilliant. Because the movie, it doesn't really rain in the movie, does it? I can't remember if there's actually a rainy scene.
No.
So that every square, when they were moving around in these gorgeous wide open squares,
the difference between wet cobblestones and dry cobblestones is amazing.
Huge difference. Well, it just disappears when it's when it's black. If it's in shadow, especially the way most of those were in shadow, there was bounce that was hitting a lot of these cobblestone streets. They were creating these wonderful, like, it's a different level of contrast from the hard light that was shining on some distant wall to catch a shadow when somebody was running past it. I just thought that ended up creating such a. Orson Welles is apparently very famous for saying that black and white is the actor's friend, because it creates such an even amount of like contrast that you're not distracted by anything other than expression. You're not distracted by the way the actor looks or the range of colors around the actor and the environment. It's only expressive. Everything else has two ranges. And I just thought that they found a way. I'm always so impressed when black and white cinematography, especially really expressive black and white cinematography that is very common in noir, finds a way to not detract from the performances whenever they heighten them, where it doesn't, you know what I mean?
And it can make a whole lot. I remember shooting a music video once, and they took it away, and somewhere in editing they decided it was going to be a black and white music video, and I'm like, well, I wish you'd fucking told me. I would have lit it differently, because I was lighting color.
Wait, why wouldn't they tell you that?
Yeah, well, they decided halfway through the production period to suddenly change it to a black and white clip, and I'm like, I would have fucking lit it differently if that was the case. And
so not how it works. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not like a picture on your phone that you could just change the filter to grayscale.
No, And I mean,
or Tokyo or whatever.
The other thing is like they're doing this with light meters and shit. Like you're not getting a viewfinder. You're getting like an eyepiece, and your light meters and I guess the know of the grips and gaffers, the know-how. But
guys, I have dragged you through a couple night shoots in our lives. How mad do you think all the crew was? That not a moment of this movie. There's one scene in the daytime.
No light. None.
Honestly, there's a couple short scenes.
The thing is, they didn't have to go to their day job after that. Although
I guess not.
Although it was funny,
they didn't have Adderall.
He was famous. Yeah. Well, funnily enough, he got hooked on speed making this movie.
Get out of here.
Carole Reed. Yeah, because Orson Welles was such a dick and arrived on set 2 weeks late, they had to shoot with 3 consecutive units to keep on schedule.
Can you imagine?
And he was doing 20-hour days on set with 3 different units.
3 scenes. How did he fuck that up?
A sewer unit. There was a day unit, a night unit, and a sewer unit, and he was working on all of them at once.
Man.
Not to mention the fact that they had to build a replica of the sewer in Pinewood because Orson wouldn't go down in the sewer and film his shots. So that's a double down in the sewer.
Oh,
wow,
it kind of looked a little weird. I was wondering why they did it that way. It was like he seems distant. I thought maybe they were just trying to deal with.
I mean, some of the distance shots. That was a great shot though. It worked.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have given up that shot either. But yeah, there were times where like the close-ups were all filmed on Pinewood Studios.
What a prick.
In a record.
I'm glad none of his movies are ever even close to being as good as Citizen Kane.
But yeah, the director was working so long, so he actually got hooked on speed.
I totally believe it. There are, I would venture to say there are 3 extremely famous sequences, not scenes, but sequences in this movie. 2 of them take place at night, both one above ground, one underground, and then the daytime scene with the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
Starting with the swings, and then with them coming in and then doing the Ferris wheel. And I just wanted to give a shout out.
Did you notice in the Ferris wheel with the cinematography, the Dutch tilt was moving with the car? They were slowly rotating the camera.
I didn't know that either. That's funny.
That's fun. Wow, God, that's good. Good eye. I just wanted to give a shout out, and I think the last time I really raved about this was Spielberg's West Side Story. These simple, you're not distracted by a lot of other things than humans talking to each other in heightened situations. The staging in this movie is incredible. Like there's just blocking within scenes.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple of times.
The blocking inside that giant Ferris wheel car, it's probably not a Ferris wheel, it's like a big standing car. So simple, but the way that they would counter each other until they eventually both found themselves near the door, and they have that wonderful exchange where he realizes that Orson probably is going to kill him, and Orson says, "Yeah, you're the only one who knows what I'm doing," and he wraps his arm around the side so that it would be more difficult to throw him out. I don't know, you guys. There's just I wouldn't have had the courage to do it. It just seems so unrealistic. It seems so expressive. It seems so dreamlike. I just don't know if people in the real world would have done that now.
That was the actual guy going. I mean? Is he still acting or like?
Yeah, what's about to happen?
Fucking hang on.
Basically.
Then we have
the Ferris wheel sequence is. I mean, it's so good though. That scene on its own is just so good.
Yeah.
That it's like I'm glad we can trust writing. That the whole thing. It's what a bold thing to say after the whole world has been crippled by war too.
It's funny because that whole speech, that whole cuckoo clock speech, is the answer to the age-old question of what do you do with a BA in English. Because there are so many literary quotes in there. It's not funny because my wife is watching it and she's like, "Oh my God, I just got assaulted by literary line drops."
Yeah. Oh my God.
The speech before it though with the dots. Yeah. I watched a bunch of interviews on this last night, and I'm going to quote somebody else again. I can't remember who was talking. It may have been. It doesn't matter.
Mind you, when I told her that joke earlier, she told me to go fuck myself too. So
sure,
because she has a BA in English.
I think one of the most interesting things about Harry Lime, I don't know how you think that sounds like a delicious flavor. I think one of the best things about his character is that, again, we're in black and white. Yes, you don't see this man very much. Yes, we put him in fucking all black, and yet he's a villain who, out of his own mouth in a single scene, dictates to you why he is corrupt and why he is who they think he is, the police. He does actually believe those things. He does
he basically
defend
confesses,
it.
yeah.
And yet, he is a villain where you never see him commit any of these crimes.
Yeah.
There were a couple times on that, like some of the
Except one
gunshots
murder.
you don't hear, some of the, they didn't show all of the action. They showed reaction shots in the sewer. You heard gunshots, you didn't see them all the time. Even above ground in the final kind of sort of like hideout sequence, you heard reactions, you saw people reacting, but you didn't see necessarily what you would think of as like the central action of that moment. We were seeing reaction shots a lot. So I thought that was fascinating too. But yeah, what a villain. And you're exactly right. We hear about him the whole time because we think he's dead. And then he comes to life, well, so to speak. And then you're right. We never see him do any of these acts. And he even pulls a gun, which is funny because you're like, oh my God, is he going to pull it? And then he runs. I don't know.
And then he runs.
Yeah.
Good
I
call.
love
And
it.
then
Yeah,
that
he
one
runs.
guy that gets shot, I did have a chuckle because he just freezes. And I'm
That
like,
was funny.
did my fucking internet just stop? Like,
I had
'cause
to
he's
think-
there
I was
forever,
like-
and it just drops.
I definitely thought for a while, I was like, is he gonna die?
They didn't like using squibs back then, apparently, you guys.
No, well, they.
What were we
no.
watching the other day when it was for a few
don't-
dollars more, and like sometimes there were squibs and sometimes people just went,
Yeah, I didn't think they had
You know?
squibs
Yeah.
in the 40s.
And they just died like that. They went, oh, dead.
because those things
they
like
may not have. Yeah. Good
in the
call.
70s, even then, it was almost like risking a gunshot because it's a tiny explosive that goes off, so it still
It
hurts.
is, yeah, it is a big deal. Fucking Sonny and the Godfather.
Who's your favorite supporting character?
She is.
Oh,
I mean,
she's a
Orson Welles is got that star making
yeah,
role,
yeah,
but
yeah.
she
Not one of
is
the
so good, dude. Let's
She's
give it
awesome.
up for how are we gonna say her name?
I know that
Alida.
he famously,
Is it Alida
didn't
Valli?
want Orson Welles as well.
Alida Valli, yeah.
Who do they want? Do you know who they wanted?
I think it was Cary Grant
Oh man, they made the right call. He's not scary enough.
because Selznick apparently said that Orson Welles was box office poison.
Yeah, they like that. This was the era of box office and poison, like tossing that
Yeah.
term around.
Yeah.
Really good casting.
You really could never
So,
work in this
Alida
town
Valli-
again if a producer didn't like you.
For real. Alida
I
Valli.
like the landlady, by the way.
She was good. How about the lack of subtitles?
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
great.
That
Just
irked me at one
teaching you.
point. At one point, that irked me mainly because the dialogue was in I think it was German. Was when it irked me, and they had a conversation like a back and forth 3-line, maybe 4-line conversation in German, and all I got was speaking German, and I thought, well, if it's an English speaking film, really you would only get that if the character is like in no subtitle, if the character is witnessing that and they can't understand them. So that kind of it felt like it was a little confused there. It's like, why was that scene there? Because the character's not there to witness it. They're just having a scene all in German, and then
Well, you
then
had
the
your
character
your
turns up later.
subtitles on. Is
I
that
had
what
them
you're saying?
on, yeah, and it just said speaking
Okay.
German.
I did not have them on, and it just didn't say anything.
Yeah,
And I guess the same effect of what you're saying. But yeah, there were definitely a lot of times where you were just like, I am,
Yeah.
Holly Martins. I'm just in this world that I don't speak. It's just all happening around me.
and
kind of
yeah,
thing.
and normally that would happen in the case of he's witnessing this German that he
Hearing
doesn't
it or
understand,
watching it,
but
yeah.
they're showing this scene to the audience, not the character, and we still got it in German with no, like you either know German or fuck you.
I mean, I guess this was back in a time when, like, a English speaking country made this. And
I've
this was not-
seen him do it since. Like this has
Yeah.
happened in the last couple of years as well. They've started doing that where they deliberately, or if they'll put the subtitles in Spanish.
I'm gonna
Jeff,
get
who was
another
your
beer.
favorite,
Really unprofessional, but I'm gonna get another beer. I really liked Anna. I think maybe it's also just the timing of the guy. The guy who
Ernst douche.
recruited for the panel. Is that who that was? So the guy that like recruited for
God.
the panel.
Oh
It's so
God,
random,
who was
'cause then
that
it's
guy?
like he's here, and then watching him when he realizes how boring this fucking
Oh
guy
my
is
god,
as a
yeah,
speaker.
that did not
It's
go
really
well.
funny.
He
I
was
love
incredible.
Ernst Deutsch is amazing as Baron Kurtz. He was probably my second favorite. So you are.
If you guys have IMDb up, if you have IMDb up in front of you,
Yeah.
look at the landlady's headshot. Hedwig
Yeah, how good is that?
Bleibtreu?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she definitely was either a circus girl or she did some follies or something. Yeah. That's not what I
And the
expected.
guy you're talking about must be Wilfred Hyde-White. Crabben. Look at that picture of that man in his smoking jacket in his
Yeah,
library.
it's definitely not Harold Ayer. And Harold Ayer, that's his IMDb picture forever. Yes, but it has to be, Crabben.
Oh god, that's so fantastic.
I think is it Crabben? What a name, by the way.
I'm not sure. Go get your beer.
It has to
Dave,
be.
I remember.
Dave, let's talk
there was
about
one.
It could be. No, it could. Yeah, it's got to be them. Okay.
Just go.
Go. What were you saying?
Hey.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, it was funny. There was one time with the landlord where like he wouldn't speak, like, and he was like, I saw nothing, and then he calls him and he's like, okay, I saw something. I come back tonight. I have to tell you. And as soon as he said it, I'm like, oh, he dead. It was
The pause he has when he gets off the phone, when he just looks at whoever he's looking at.
Well, yeah, that was
Harry.
I'm sure that was meant to telegraph what was about to happen, but straight up in that kind of film, anyone who says like come back tonight, they're not going to be there.
No, they're not going to be there, especially in this kind of movie.
It's like showing someone a gun and they're not using it.
I want to talk about before the brilliant, big, explosive, amazing action sequences of the 80s and 90s. The end of this movie was what an action sequence was. And I felt it, man. When they're down in that sewer, dude, let's just talk about the shot choices, the editing, the sound design, the tracking of the emotions throughout that chase scene. It's just an absolute remarkable action sequence. And that wouldn't you call it an action sequence?
Absolutely, because it did track his progress trying to escape. But I think the thing that helped it with the action was the sheer amount of cops they showed running into that sewer after him.
That was cool.
And then every time he opened a lid, there was a cop there, and he's like, got to keep going.
Yeah.
So it made it like there's no exit. You're trapped in here, build the tension. People are still pouring in. They're bringing in dogs. I'm like, what are the dogs going to sniff? They're not going to sniff him. The only thing that
one of the dudes
bugged me was the guys running around with the lit candles. I'm like, I would not be lighting a fucking flame in those sewers.
Methane. Boom.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know it's famous, but like that one scene where they throw the search on him and he turns around, and he's just what an incredible picture. But I think the main thing it all blows me away. The cinematography and the editing is perfect. But the sound design and imagining the difficulty back then, there was no Pro Tools. There weren't even the way that they edited sound into the 70s and 80s, where they had a little bit more leeway over how to EQ in reverb and echo. I was listening to a guy who ended up directing John Allen, I think was his name, or I can't remember his name. He directed several Bond pictures, and he was the second sound assistant on this movie when he was very young. And he was talking about how at Pinewood they had a few stairwells, and this fucking kid recorded every single fucking footstep in that sewer. That was recorded in stairwells at Pinewood. So, just because they had to. There was no fucking echo or reverb. That was the kid that got the job because
that's because he had a similar build as well, and they thought the footsteps would sound the same. Like they put that much thought into it.
Absolutely, dude. He did. I said all of them, but he didn't do all of them. He did certain characters, and he was eventually tasked with redoing all of Joseph Cotton's, Harley Martin's footsteps for the final part of that sequence. But I mean, they were just, the timing just had to be right. They couldn't bring a monitor with them. They're doing it's just incredible. The things that how it sounded was unbelievable. That gunshot, that final fucking gunshot that you'd see off screen, you hear off screen, you know what's happening. Unbelievable, man. Incredible sound design for 1949.
That's the thing. It was a mono soundtrack, but it's somehow over there. Like,
how the fuck did they do that? I really don't know how they did that. Really guys, good. I guess the last thing I want to talk about dramaturgically. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say what this movie won one Oscar. What was it? I'm in the middle of your momentum now, so it's a bad time to ask for that. Yeah, of course. Okay, back to
it's got to be cinematography, right?
Black and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Black and white. Oh yeah, because they had divided. Grahan Greene's choice, and I would imagine Carole Reed was involved with that with the storytelling. The fucking relationship at the center of this movie between this woman who is in love with somebody else. We've seen a story, we've read the stories where their significant other dies and the friend comes in and they fall in love. But this is never quite that, is it? She doesn't actually really let go of her love for Harry Lime. And he doesn't ever actually become the man she needs him to be or to descend into to be right for each other. And then Carole Reed, against Grahan Greene's wishes, puts this ending in the film.
Yeah.
Where the unrequited last stab, she's worth my time. I just want to talk to her and make sure she's okay. And she just fucking ignores him. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. It makes the movie more than just the pulp noir kind of genre flick that it is by putting that ending in there. Which I would say, like, the endings matter, dude. Like,
that is the one they changed.
With that kick-ass chase scene, it would be a different movie, wouldn't it? Dave, how the fuck do you think they got all those leaves to fall off the trees like that in that ending? It was just fucking absolute perfect, like the absolute perfect time of year. There were fucking leaves falling off those trees in real time.
There's people up on fucking ladders throwing garbage bags of leaves out.
I don't know what they were doing. It's unreal. The texture and rhythm. And, absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, that's all I got, you guys.
I think that's it for me. Except Satchel Foot. Cat got your tongue.
Satchel Foot.
Also, some of these lines.
Who are you working for?
Also, wait. One more shot. In the apartment when he's talking, and it zooms into the flower bed, and then comes out of the bushes.
What a transition!
I was like,
how did they do?
I've seen a lot of old movies now because you fuckers make me watch them, but that's the first time I've seen that pulled off. Especially really from that age. Yeah.
That got him the award. It wasn't the sewer scene.
That's what he submitted. He submitted that one scene, and he said, Romeo and Juliet's got this.
He's on his little platform, floating in. He's got full wood, and he's like, this is it.
Let's give it to the fucking first AC. The fucking focus pulling was... How did they do that? That was unremarkable. They came in from like 12 feet away.
The first AC was focus pulling back then. It was one guy.
You know, actually, even now, they still do it differently. In the British Union, there is the cameraman and the lighting man. And the cameraman has multiple assistants. So I'm not actually sure who they actually have pulling focus for them. But did you know that back then? The cinematographer did not light and was in charge of camera movement and blocking.
That still kind of happens.
It's still how they pretty much do it over there. We're one of the only unions that doesn't do it that way. But anyway.
Some of my favorite lines here. Death is at the bottom of everything, Mr. Martins. Leave it to the professionals. So good. Followed up by later on Orson Welles' line. Dead or happy or dead, those little devils.
Those little devils. Oh, God, that is so good.
And by the way, I always love a good Nazi and or Russian train scene. So a lot of these were train station, but we got a couple good train scenes. I feel like this time period, those train scenes are really fucking good. They're good.
Any other standout lines?
I just think it's funny that when Anna was taken to go to the International Police Headquarters, whatever the fuck that means, the International Police Headquarters sounds oddly vague and made up. They said, oh, it's standard procedure, just a checkup. Just a checkup? Is this her annual physical? What do you mean just a checkup? Who takes somebody to a police station for a checkup?
International Police was what they formed when it was the 4 quarters, because there was representatives from each quarter, and it was known as the International Police, I believe.
Just for a checkup.
Yeah, that's what they did.
I had a couple good ones. We should have dug deeper than a grave.
Ooh.
Bombed about a little bit like that one.
I like this one.
And then Holly, when he's talking with Anna, and they're talking about Harry Lime, and Holly says, when he was 14, he taught me the 3-card trick. That's growing up fast. And she replies, he never grew up. The world grew up around him.
Yeah, that was good. That's good, Anna. Yeah.
Again, can you imagine?
Before we give away the whole screenplay to this movie.
Period.
No, there's one more that's funny. Early on, right when Holly finds out that Harry Lime was killed right before he got there, they go, he's dead? Yeah. Sorry for the grave diggers. Hard work. It is Frost. The guy's dead. And like,
that was your intro to like the movie, yeah.
Yeah. he shows up and they're like, hey, I'm looking for my friend. Oh, he's dead. Oh, what? And then he goes to the funeral. You knew him? Yeah, that's awkward. It's like, I was going to stay with him. That's awkward. Oh, yeah, sorry for the gravediggers. It's frost. The ground's frozen. What an opening. God, it's good.
I'm just going to end on the last point. I said at the very beginning, I'm just going to say it again. We cannot imagine going through the World War II.
Okay.
We cannot imagine it. And even as Americans, people, unless you fought over there, literally, you never really got close to that. Americans mostly, if you were here, had a totally different experience than people who lived in fucking
unless
Europe.
you're in the Air Force and
so
the Masters of the Air. Otherwise, everyone else.
That's what I'm saying. Unless you served.
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that there are movies that took that time period during the war and right after seriously, so that this is the only documentation I really have of this kind of period, you know? Like, it's good that there are movies that took themselves seriously. London Films took a chance and made a movie, set it over there, and fucking really tried to tell a story that was still not... They didn't make you eat your spinach about post-war Vienna. They put it in a fucking compelling genre pick, and I was able to watch it with a smile on my fucking face and learn a little something. I just think that's so fucking cool, dude.
I feel like is this the same year that Mother Courage and Her Children came out? I think it was 1949 in Germany. 30. Oh, nope, never mind. That was 10 years earlier. Doesn't matter. But anyway, the play. But I love that this is in Vienna, and that Ferris wheel is in Leopoldstadt, which is a part of Vienna, and it's real. They were really there in that place. Like that, it still exists.
By the way, guys, Vienna. Shout out to Al if you're still listening.
Al!
Well, apparently, if you want, dude, you can go and watch it, because apparently there's still a theater in Vienna where this holds one reel. There's a screening of this 3 times a day in that one theater.
What?
Still screening.
Cool. That reel must look awful.
Yeah, right?
Can you imagine what
that's no fucking 4K restoration.
Once a day for fucking 80 years.
3 times a day. 3 showings a day.
Al, send my notes directly to me. You don't have to put them online for everybody else to see. All right, just send them directly to me.
Al, we love you. We miss you. I want to go to Vienna now. Mostly because of you, but also because of the third man, Carole Reed.
And Mozart. We should watch Amadeus next. Dave, can you pull 1984, please? All right, people. That is the end.
Yes. We'll give it a shot.
Of our segment about the third man and films of 1949. Unfortunately, we did not have time to get to Jolson Sings Again. We'll have to round back to that at some point.
This is our
1927 better not
deep
come
water
up. Better not pull
episode.
1927.
Oh,
the singer. That's right. Okay, so as always, we're going to spin the random year generator, do our what you've been watching, and then at the very end of this segment, we're going to do a little punch in of the movie that we've selected to talk about from that year. Dave, you ready to spin?
Should I hit the button?
Let's do it.
Woo!
1980.
Go away. 80.
1980.
80. Oh. Jeff and I just thought of the same movie.
Empire Strikes Back.
Not
Raging Bull. Yeah, come on. Hey. Did you fuck my wife?
Did you fuck my wife? Well, I don't know what you're talking about. When did you come up?
It's weird that you should bring that up, but yeah, we'll move on.
Oh, look what he did.
How could you ask me that? I mean, brother, how could you ask me that?
How could you ask me that? What are you talking about?
All right. Maybe if you did a little more fucking, a little less eating. Okay.
Oh my God.
Jeff likes that movie.
Just can everyone remember I'm using this section as an ad for next week's show?
All right,
Fuck
people.
you, future listeners.
Guys, you wait. You haven't watched shit. Neither of you watched a goddamn thing. So fuck you guys. This is gonna be my segment. Dave, what'd you watch this week, huh?
I haven't watched a thing.
Yeah, you too busy. I mean, John.
We've been going through The Mentalist. Like, we're going back through The Mentalist, the old
nice
Simon Baker show. We're in season 3.
Sure.
Riesel's going to help me repot this plant so you can't see when I'm trying to Google the shit that I'm talking about during our episode. John.
Yeah.
I watched...
At least we can't hear it anymore.
Elizabeth started watching Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, God.
And I have never seen that show before. And it's fucking Shonda Rhimes. You just that show can just run for fucking
Can you believe
infinity.
Can you believe it actually is?
And it has.
I remember, I was just thinking about it
19
because the
seasons.
Super Bowl went to overtime yesterday. And I remember one of the highest rated TV shows of our generation was the episode with Christina Ricci holding the bomb in the guy's stomach with Kyle Chandler. It premiered after the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl was on ABC.
I missed that one. She had to catch me up on that one, but I heard that was a big episode.
It was a two-parter.
Yeah, I watched that.
Was it ER did it? ER when they did their live episode.
Live.
Yeah, they did an ER episode live. It was the whole episode was done live, and they literally the program that was I think it was ER did it. The program that was finishing was on the TV in the first shot. Like they piped it through.
Oh wow, that's
and then
pretty
pulled
cool.
out from the TV, and then the whole thing started.
It was
and
online.
it's an hour. It was an hour of television done completely live.
Guys, I also watched, and I do feel like I want to call this out just because it's worth it. 25-year anniversary of Sopranos. Don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody's read about that. Been thinking about that.
Oh, did the rewatch, yeah.
And in a class last week, this class I have, this TV class, we watched episode 5, season 1, College.
Oh, it's the
That's
best. That's the one. That's the one.
episode where shit
You had to
really
do
hit
it.
the fan.
I've never seen
don't
any
want
of
to
it.
spoil anything.
Come on, he
I
had to
hadn't
do
watched.
it.
I hadn't watched any Sopranos in a long time without, it's not like I forgot how good it was. But my Lord, it is still singular. It's
so good.
not this giant cinematic thing that I think we think of nowadays when we think of really great streaming television. There's like this very heightened cinematic. I know you hate that word, Dave, but you know what I mean. Crazy, like giant production design and a lot of money gets poured into it. This just feels different. It feels independent, and it's the writing and the acting that are just through the roof. And somehow they end up yielding something that no one has ever really done before or since then.
Did they do what The Wire
so
did as well,
refreshing.
where they were shooting on film? I've never actually
They
seen
did shoot a
anything.
lot. I think they shot a lot of those earlier seasons on film.
I think so too. The fact that he was able to pull off telling this fucking thumbs up that comes up on my screen now.
Oh, it's been doing it the whole way through the episode.
So many hearts.
The way that he's able to convince Meadow Soprano to go to this shit without him. But honestly, the conversation he has with the guy outside his house, it's that's it. It's cinematic gold, man. It's
really is unbelievable.
It's so good.
So that was really fun.
Ambush was the live episode of ER that Dave was talking about, which premiered on NBC on September 25th, 1997. And how fucked up and greedy those bastards were. Not only did they pre-tape it in case there would be a technical issue, which makes sense. They pre-taped the final draft. They did this for the live musicals too, in case somebody, I don't know, breaks their leg, like Rent Live. And then you have to watch some bullshit half-ass performance, which people are not giving it their best because the guy broke his leg in the day of the actual show. But they had to film it live twice. Once for the East Coast and once for the West Coast. So these motherfucking actors were
cool.
like,
2 runs.
never again.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that
East
was so
Coast-
much fun. They got to do a second stab. I would have
Yeah.
loved that if I was them.
But it's kind of a third because they filmed it the day before, and you got to show up for that too.
Yeah, but like the New York one had just has slightly more F-bombs than the LA
I hope
one.
they got paid.
Only after
I hope
mistakes.
they got paid more. September 25th, 1997. I watched Killers of the Flower Moon, boys. Guys, I watched it. I watched it with Angela. We came back on Friday night. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do. She's trying to watch her SAG Award stuff. And so we were like, all right, tonight's the night. And we started it so late for another reason. We started at like 9. And it was like, fuck.
So
We
it finished
tried to
at
watch this
midday.
in December, by the way. We're not being lazy. We tried to watch it, and it was a day that a flood was supposed to come, and we were supposed to be in Soho for our screening, and we just were like, we don't want to risk like going to Soho and then having the fucking water pour through the walls of the subway like it had done a month and a half before. And when I was stuck in Long Island, basically because of this shit. So we like at the last second pulled out. And we watched Past Lives with that night, which was great. But it was like we were really looking forward to going to the theater, sitting down for 4 hours and watching this movie. We finally put it on. We're just kind of going to watch it for 2 hours and do I know that's not the way you're supposed to do it, obviously, but we can do whatever we want because it's on Apple TV. That's what you get Marty for fucking selling it to Apple TV Plus. We could not stop watching this movie. We couldn't stop it.
Yes. Dude,
We
yeah.
honestly, like 10 or 15 minutes in, I'm sitting there and I'm about to say like the score is incredible because of course the score keeps coming up for me for some reason, but I'm like, oh my God, this movie, the fucking score. And out of nowhere, and like not even 10 minutes in, Angela goes, this movie is incredible. Like immediately I was like, do you hear the score? She was like, the score, the performances, every single thing. She's like, DeNiro. I was like, oh my God, yes. Like immediately we knew that we were going to be fucking hooked by this movie. It is not what I expected. I don't know what I was expecting, but this was not it. And honestly, she said Angela gave the best review ever, because I know everybody's saying it's so long. She was like, I didn't notice the time, and this is the kind of movie that I could just have and watch over and over and over again. Have it on all the time.
It's still in theaters in case anyone who doesn't have Apple TV wants to go see it.
It in theaters. Do it, because it's like I feel like you need the push. We didn't need it, thankfully, but when you go into it, I feel like everybody needs a back, like an out or something. And so just go to the theater and plan the time. It is, you don't notice the time. This movie's so fucking good. I can't believe
in the next month you're gonna have a choice. You can go and see Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1 back in theaters, or you can go and see Killers of the Flower Moon. If that doesn't do anything for the numbers of Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't know what does.
It should. I mean,
see them both.
I don't want to be like, oh well, of course here he is liking a Scorsese movie. This is not a Scorsese. I know it is. It is in the fact that it's brilliant, but it shares. If it shares anything to any of his other movies, I didn't notice them because I don't give a fuck. This story first, it was so brilliant. And I know the perspective thing that everybody's talking about. Okay, fine. Whatever the fuck you want. Here's all I know. No matter who you are, what your background is, this movie hurts. So if you want to talk about perspective, it's fine. If they change the perspective, it hurts. This story hurts. Everything about it. And I can't stop watching it. I can't stop watching it knowing that there's pain involved with watching this. And I need to watch it, but I also enjoy watching it. It is one of those experiences that it's like Oppenheimer was an event. It was brilliant. I love it so much. This movie is just, it's in another stratosphere. You know, it's in a total different world. I don't even know how to compare it to any other movie. It's just so magnificent on its own. And I can't believe that it was 3.5 hours. I couldn't stop watching it. And I could have easily turned, I want to turn it on again and watch it again. I want to start it all over again and watch the whole fucking thing again.
I am so glad to hear you say that, dude. Just because, isn't it obvious, you guys? It's fucking like palpable in the award season throughout the year that people do not want to celebrate this film. Everybody has just decided for whatever reason, Martin Scorsese's
Lily
movies
Gladstone
are
will
too
get her
long.
Oscar, and she deserves it. Oh my God, she deserves it. Back to you, John.
Leonard Maltin, do you guys remember it? I can't remember. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I saw it at this class that Leonard Maltin, the famous film critic, hosts, and Eric Roth, came to talk. He's the screenwriter. He's written a shit ton of movies, including several Scorsese's, Forrest Gump. You know, he's one of the greatest. Yeah. And what he said, because, you know, somebody got up and asked a question and they talked about that. And he said, you know, Martin Scorsese said to me, he says the best direction that he gave me throughout the whole process, which might speak to your concerned student who was saying, why didn't you write it from the other perspective? It feels, you know, inappropriate that you did that. And Martin said to me, in every page, you and I should be culpable. This should be a film about culpability. And that is what we have going for us through this perspective. That's a perspective we can learn about and tell. And you just, I don't know, you guys interviews, if you watch the round table and meet the nominees and stuff with the DGA, you could tell that like his life was changed by making this movie.
Oh, yeah.
A guy who was set in his ways and I'm not discrediting him with that, but he likes his New York lifestyle and he tended to make a certain kind of movie. Every now and then he would do something else. And he always learned so much from them. And last thing I'll just say is that Leonard Maltin made a comment when he was introducing it that he was just like, this man is 81 years old and he is still pushing himself as an artist. This watches like no other Scorsese movie you've ever seen.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like one of his other movies. And that is just, if nothing else, watch it for that. If you're a film person and you love that, watch this guy who has made movies you can quote and you can think about and you know the style, and watch him blow you away with something else.
If you think you can draw a line from Goodfellas to Casino or Taxi Driver to Raging Bull and you watch this movie, like if you didn't know anything about who this person was, you wouldn't think about him at all. Everything's just so story first. Two things I'll say to finish up. Number one, the performances. There's a weird triangle in this movie where you have DeNiro, Leo, and Lily Gladstone, and the way they work together is masterful. It is like one of the best film triangles I've ever seen. And you have a manipulator, you have a total submissive, and Leo is miscast in that sense, and they sort of rewrote it for him, and they completely compensated and then some to have the guy from fucking Wolf of Wall Street become this submissive, but not ignore the fact that he has this presence, but to watch him work through these things, this is a simple-minded character. is brilliant. And Lily Gladstone is a fucking rock. She barely says anything, and she really is the center of this movie, even though Leo is definitely the lead, and DeNiro's role might even be the second biggest. Lily Gladstone is that centerpiece that they are fucking electrons dancing around her. Like, it is sensational, that performance.
She's gonna win, dude. She's such
and
a
she
deserved
fucking
win.
deserves it.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much she deserves it. And the last thing I'll say about this perspective is, because again, back to the perspectives, and I can only speak to what I saw, is Leo said something really funny with Scorcese there in an interview once, where he was talking about why Taxi Driver was so meaningful for him. And the way he described it, I guess, is normal, but I'd never heard it described this way, where he says he fell in love with Travis Bickle and then he deceived him. Like, Leo felt hurt watching Taxi Driver because this character he was rooting for deceived him. He thought he was moral, but he actually is selfish, or whatever his reasons was. He felt deceived. And so watching this performance, it was fun for me to be so deceived. I really didn't expect Leo's journey in this movie, but I felt hurt. I felt deceived by this character that I thought I was gonna, anyway, it was very complicated, the emotions going through this movie, and it's
dude.
You can't compare it to Oppenheimer. You can't compare it to any other movie. Not to say that it's better or worse. It's just it's a different plane. Okay, I'm out.
What an addition to the canon.
God damn.
All right, let's take a break, and we're going to be right back and announce what movie we're going to be doing next week from 1980.
And we're back.
And we're
back. All right, so are we doing Raging Bull, which we talked about before? No, we are not doing Superman 2. We are not doing Caddyshack. We are not doing The Shining. We're certainly not doing Heaven's Gate, although I did think about it, but it is almost 4 hours long, and it's definitely terrible and tanked an entire, not only a studio, an entire...
I've seen it before. It's not that bad.
Entire way of life for Hollywood. Yeah, I don't know. What was it? What was the problem with it? Why did it happen?
It's too much. It's not great.
What are we doing?
We are doing All That Jazz. Nope. We are not doing All That Jazz. Which one? 4 Oscars. No, we are doing The Long Good Friday, which is a 1980 British gangster film directed by John Mackenzie from a screenplay by Barry Keefe, starring Bob Hoskins, and that's right, future Oscar winner Helen Mirren. Future Dame Helen Mirren and Bob Hoskins, who you may know as both Mario and Smee.
Mario. And if you want to watch it, it's on Max in the US.
That's right. A little bit of London,
and then watch
a little bit of North Ireland, IRA, Belfast fundraising shit going on. It's going to be great. People, The Long Good Friday on Max. That's what we're talking about next week. President's Day weekend 2024. Can't wait to see you there. Anything else before we go, you two knuckleheads?
Nope.
Bye!
Jesus fucking Christ.
Fuck, man.